Hello everyone and welcome to Everything Spice. My name is Tanya. Today what I am making is pierogies, which basically is a dumpling that's stuffed with potatoes and cheese. They also have, it's a German, it's a Polish, beautiful meal. It's like little dumplings, right? Bite size. And what you do is boil them and then you saute them. They're so amazing. So I'm starting off with potatoes. Now I have a bunch of potatoes that I'm gonna cut up, chunk up, and put in my pan. Okay, so I've already peeled them. And I'm just quartering them, which means cutting them in fours, right? And then I'm gonna put them in water and boil all my potatoes. I have about, make sure that none of them are missing here. I got about 4 or 5 potatoes that I'm using. I better have too many potatoes than too much, because I'm gonna make a lot of filling. So just enough to cover, hang on here, look at it, just come to the pot, just enough to cover it. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna boil it, and then I'm gonna show you how I make the pasta that's gonna encase them, okay? So join me on the other side when I start making my dough. All right, thank you for joining me for the second half of pierogies. Now this part of the meal, this is the dough part, which encased all the potatoes. Now for the potatoes, I have these boiling in a pot of water that's just covering the potatoes, and I put some salt in as well, okay? Salt, you can add it or you don't have to, depending on your aversion to salt or your health issues. I have 4 1/4 cups of flour, okay? Teaspoon of salt. Yeah, I did that. I just went there, okay? I have, what is this? 2/3 of milk. Now, is that whole milk? I don't have whole milk. What am I gonna do? So I'm gonna use 2%. Use 2% if you have 2%. 1 egg. 3/4 of water we'll add once that gets dumped in. And we're using my handy dandy KitchenAid or whatever mix you have. Doesn't have to be KitchenAid, right? Doesn't have to be, whatever you got. Okay, let's start this. Now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add the flour to the KitchenAid. Gently. You don't want flour everywhere. You gotta be careful with this too, because if you put this on too high, guess what happens? You get a flour bath. Because it goes everywhere, people. Goes everywhere, and it's not pretty at all. I'm gonna put that over here. I'm gonna crack an egg, and I'm gonna get flour everywhere. But you know what? Julia Child made a mess in her kitchen, and I ain't any better than Julia Child. And if it worked for Miss Julia, it's gonna work for me. If you make a mess, what do they say? Orville. All right, now this is making a pasta. Love it. Can you imagine you're making a pasta? You are making a pasta. My YouTube friends. All right, I'm gonna mix this. This locks it in. Go low. We're gonna start it out on low because you don't want flour everywhere. We're gonna add our milk. We're gonna add our egg. Okay? We're gonna add 3/4 of a cup, measuring typically, of water. There we go. Put it in, baby. And then we're gonna let it go. Now, depending on the humidity in your kitchen, the time of year that you make these pierogies, you might need a little bit more flour. See right here, if you come to the pot, come to the pot, come to the pot. Now look, see how wet this is? Maybe you don't, hang on. See, it's a little wet. We're gonna let it go for a few minutes, just to see. It's a lot of dough. Look at that. It's practically jumping out of the pan. That's so good. I'm gonna let it knead for a minute. Now I'm gonna add a little bit more flour. I might need a little bit more flour. I'm gonna let it go. And I'll show you what it looks like in the end once it stops spinning. See? And what I'm gonna do here is I'm switching it to the dough hook so that it kneads it just perfectly. And once that gets down to a nice smooth consistency, a smooth ball. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to shape it into a dish, or shape it into a ball, and I'm gonna let it rest in the refrigerator for about an hour, okay? So I'll show you what it looks like when it comes out of the refrigerator. All right, what I'm gonna do is show you, because I feel like that needs to be shown on the video, okay? So I'm gonna take it out. Look at this. It's like, it doesn't want to come off. Okay, so I'm gonna take it off the hook. Just like that. Okay, see, this is the dough hook. It kind of needs the dough hook because it's a dough, right? And look at that, it's so perfect. This is pasta dough. Come on now. You're making pasta on this show? Now I'm gonna just set it into motion here. A little kneading has to happen in order to get it into a nice disc. Okay, so you gotta use your muscles. You gotta use your muscles, my friends, and get that prepared. But it helps to have that KitchenAid do most of the work for you. And it's not even 5 minutes that it comes together, to be honest with you. You don't wanna over knead anything with this, because look how smooth it is already. So you need it about 5 minutes or less. Medium speed, low to medium speed. And then after that 5 minutes, you take it off like we're doing now, and you're gonna shape it into like a circular disc kind of, or ball, whatever one you wanna call it, like that. Just to make sure, let me get the water out of the way so you can actually see what I'm doing. And look at that, how smooth this looks. Look how perfect this is. That is what it looks like. A baby's bottom, yeah. Okay, and I'm gonna set this into the refrigerator for about an hour to rest, an hour or two to rest. And I got me my handy dandy plastic wrap to cover this beautiful ball. Let me show you. I hate showing plastic wrap on the film because, on the film, get it? Plastic wrap is film. Because this thing does not like to cooperate, plastic wrap. It never does. It is a stubborn teenager. Doesn't want to listen. Okay, so we might have to do another one just to go over the sides here, which is fine. And this gives plenty of time for the potatoes to cook and cool. You have to have the potatoes cooked and cooled. Now, I'll show you that step too. But look how pretty this is, okay? This is what you do. It goes into the refrigerator for about an hour to 2 hours so that it rests. It has to rest because it is a dough. Even though it's a pasta dough, there's still dough at the end of the sentence, right? So it has to rest. Otherwise, it'll be too tough. And we want it to be sweet and lovely, like a baby bottom, okay? So put it in the refrigerator. We'll take it out, and we have to, for a little bit, you don't want to take it out too long and melt it, because if it gets too warm, it's going to be very difficult to work with. If it's too hard, it'll be difficult to work with. So we need a happy medium, right? A balancing act. That's what has to happen here. And we're going to have a happy medium. And then we are going to make our pierogies. We're going to have our potato mixture. I'm going to show you how to make the potato mixture. And there's many ways to make it, as there are Polish people who make this recipe. But I'm going to show you a traditional way of potatoes and cheese. But I'm also going to add extra stuff because, you know, I'm not Polish like that. I'm wrong like that. But that's okay. It's a method, right? And any method can be changed, added to, or subtracted to, depending on your family's tastes. So join me on the other side when I show you the potato filling next. We're making pierogies, baby. Stick with me. The next step is I'm going to start working on our potato filling. So what I got here is bacon, baby. Yeah, I am making bacon and onions. I'm going to put that in the filling, and I'm also going to put it on top once it's all finished. So I have what they call a ration of bacon, or package of bacon, and I'm going to cut it up. It would probably be easier if it was frozen, but I let mine sit out for a little bit, so it's not. But I'm gonna put this in, and there's no sizzle. Why isn't there sizzle? Let me add this a little bit higher. I don't want to cook it too high. Putting it mostly in a colder pan, but it should have been sizzling a little bit more. You could start it out in a cold pan. I usually start my bacon on a cold pan, but that's when I'm making breakfast. This is a bit different because I'm making smaller, more crispy pieces. You have to cook your bacon first. You can't use raw bacon in a pierogi. You really have to have it all the way cooked, okay? Hear it? Sizzle. It's starting to sizzle, awesome. So let's put it all in. And then once it gets a little bit there, I'm gonna add my onions. Don't do it beforehand, because you kind of steam things when you add water, and onions have a lot of water content to them. So we're gonna do that. We'll drain the bacon as well, but here we go. Let me get this done. I'm gonna cut up some onion, dice it real nice like. And I know I have a garbage bowl, and my kids, they grab it and they put it all over the place. So I'm gonna use that instead. All right, here we go. I'm gonna start this up, and you're gonna hear sizzle. If it gets too sizzly, if it gets too loud, we'll have to figure that out. But now I'm gonna do it this way. Hang on, I gotta get my tongs. Now, here we go. It's already sizzling, which is awesome. Hopefully it's not too loud on your end. Are you hearing this? Here we go. We got my tongs going. I'm gonna cut up my onion. Get your digits out of the way. And dice it. This is all gonna go in. See how diced it is? Maybe you don't see it, but I'll show you in a minute. Here we go. Doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be precise. And if it isn't, we call it rustic around here, right? Everything's rustic. We ain't chefs, we're foodies, baby. We don't have to be perfect here. I don't have no culinary school calling me up. The culinary police saying, oh, you didn't do it perfectly. These ain't perfect slices. No. I never claimed to be the next Food Network star. I am a home cook just like you. All right, here we go. Okay, perfecto. Now, this is what it's gonna look like. And now I'm gonna wash my hands. I'm gonna wash my digits. Hang on. Stay over there for a second. All right, here we go. The bacon has gotten to the point where we're gonna put our diced onions in. And here's what the diced onions look like. And we're just gonna dump them in right now, okay? And then what we're gonna do is we're going to cook it all together. See, there's a lot of water in it, which is fine. All right, next step, and this is a good one. We have to mash these potatoes. So how I use it is I have my handy dandy. You don't have to have one of these. You can use a regular potato masher, but this gets it. It's a potato ricer. And, you know, any website, maybe even any box store, whatever you go to, any regular store. But what you do is you put your potatoes in. Don't overfill the hopper. And look what happens. You gotta use your muscles though. Look what happens. Ah, it's everywhere. Oh my God. Oh my goodness, it's going everywhere. And this rices it, so it makes it really smooth. And I like to do it when the potatoes are warm or even hot, because then it cuts through like butter. Do it slow, because it seems to, oh my goodness, look at this. Oh my goodness, look at that. Yes! And look how perfect that is. And that makes the potatoes like rice, you know? And if some pieces escape, oh well, let it go. But I'm gonna put it in the hopper. I'm gonna keep ricing my potatoes. Let me show you one more time. Come on, boy, get in there. And you use your muscles, squeeze. Oh my goodness, and if it gets everywhere, try to get it inside the bowl. So, get it inside the bowl. Squeeze, 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 right? And look what it looks like. Look how it looks almost like rice. See? It looks just like rice, almost. And that is what a potato ricer does. So I'm gonna finish mashing my potatoes up. And then what I'm gonna do is add the cooled product. So you're gonna let this cool down, because otherwise it's gonna be a hot mess. Did I just use another pun? I never meant it, but they just keep flying out of my mouth. I don't know what to say. So anyway, I'm gonna keep ricing, and then I'll show you how to put the potato mixture together. Stick with me, please. All right, we're back with the potato mixture. Okay, potato mixture, here we go. Now, I have some of the onions and bacon. I'm gonna put some of it in. I'm gonna put some. I don't think I'm gonna put all of it. Some goes in, some goes on top, okay? Because that adds residual salt, just so you know. Then you have the farmer's cheese. Look at now, it's drier. See? I am not gonna use all of this cheese. I will save it for another day. So let's put in, I don't know, maybe half of this, maybe half of it, something like that. Ooh, I'm making a mess, love it. Okay, half goes in, and then you flake it in. Okay, we're gonna mix all this in, and then I'm gonna add some cheese. Now I have a blended cheese, but you can add any kind of cheese you want, because I like mine loaded with cheese. Now the farmer's cheese is like kind of a dry, doesn't have much flavor to it, so I add like blended cheese. You can use cheddar, light cheddar. Yeah, maybe it's called light cheddar. I have no idea. We're gonna mix all this in together. Pepper and salt. Pepper. I love pepper and everything. So pepper goes in. Some salt goes in. Don't put too much salt, but potatoes need some salt. If you have an aversion, use a salt substitute. Some parsley. Parsley or parsley, depending on the way I want to call it today. You can put dill in. A lot of people put dill in, but I'm not putting any dill in because I'm not a fan of dill. I could put chives in. Why not, right? Make it your own. But I am just putting the basics. And then I'm going to mix all of this in together. Make a mushy, mushy mess. And then cool it completely. You can cool it over. Okay, so for this mixture, I had put the potatoes in. I put probably about half of the farmer's cheese in, half of the onions and bacon, salt and pepper, parsley, and a cheese blend in there. About almost the whole package. Not sure if I'm going to put the whole package in. I might do the whole package of the cheese blend because I kind of like that. So yeah, here we go. I'm going to use the whole package of it, okay? And you can use whatever blend you want. If you wanted a mild cheddar, you want more of a like a stronger cheddar, but this is what it looks like. It's going to mix in better, and then I'm going to cool it completely in the refrigerator, and then we're going to come back and put this all together. Stay tuned. All right, we're back. We're going to attempt to do this. Here is the pasta dough. Okay, I get it a little bit of flour on the board. And I also have this handy dandy dumpling gadget that we're going to use, okay, that I floured. Got some water that you're going to need to seal them. And this is what the mixture looks like. Now I did add some additional Lowry seasoned salt and some green onions I did. So that's what's in the mixture, okay? So what we're going to do right now is we're going to roll out the dough, and then we're going to cut out the squares and stuff. We're going to cut out the pieces. We got to get it thin enough that we can do that. And while you're waiting, we're going to have the water set up. So let me do this now, roll this out, and I'll be back with you in a minute. All right, so this looks thin enough. You got to keep like playing with it. And with the pasta, you can stretch it out like that, you know, just to make it thin enough. You stretch it, right? It's not like other doughs. You really need to have it nice and thin. You don't want it too thick. You know what I'm saying? And then once you get to that point, right, you can just put it under the tent there and make it nice and light. Then what you do is you're going to use this cutter. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, which is this handy dandy cutter, and I floured it. And look what you do. You find a spot, and then you cut into the dough, okay? And what it does, oh, wait a minute, you don't do it like that, dummy. You do it this way. Cut the bottom part. and the bottom part makes the discs. See? Okay? You can put it on the sheet. You take the bottom part, which is the cutter, and do like that. Okay? And you can make them smaller. If you had a smaller cutter, this is the size that I'm making. And then I'm going to cut all these out, and then I'm going to show you how to fill it. Stay tuned. All right, here we go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our dough disc, right? I'm going to stretch it out. I'm going to try to stretch it to fit that. It might do it, it might not do it. We'll see. Some of the dough is a little bit smaller. See if we can stretch it to this. Okay, good. So see, we put it on this, okay? We get our dough ball. Don't put too much, but don't put too little either. So like this or smaller, okay? Put it in the middle. Get your water. On one side of it, we're gonna do it like that. And then what we're gonna do is we're going to cinch it closed, okay? Just like that, see? And then look what it looks like when it comes out. That is perfection. Now what you can do is this too. I know I'm on the tape right now, okay? You gotta wait, son. I hear you. That's very good. You're eating your vegetables. See, everybody on YouTube, he's eating his vegetables. Yay for you! Okay, here we go. Now there we go. And this is what it looks like when it comes out. Excellent. Look at that. Now we're going to continue on, and I'll show you them all when they're done. All right, we're back again. Now this is it. Let me show you what the dumplings look like. Come to the pan. Look at all these dumplings. They look so delicious. And what we're going to do, we've got some boiling water, right? Here we go. Boiling water and some salt. You want to salt the water because that's how you flavor the pasta. Because basically what this is this is a pasta. Okay, it's a dumpling, but it's a pasta encasing the potato mixture, okay? So, let's put it in. Put a couple in at a time. And when they float to the top, they're done. But that is not the only process. So don't crowd the pan. I'll do like 5, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll do 5. And what I'm gonna do is they're gonna sit there and try not to leave them on the bottom too long, because then they'll stick, right? We don't want no stickage. So what we're gonna do is lift them a bit. They're gonna cook a few minutes here, right? Once they float to the top, what we'll do is we're gonna take them out, okay? And then we're gonna put them in a greased pan. This pan, 9 by 13, okay? I'm gonna put them in a greased pan. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you all the goodness that'll go in, because we're gonna saute them afterwards with the residual bacon that we saved and the onions, and we are gonna brown them, so they're gonna be perfecto. Okay, so keep with me. I know this is a longer meal, a longer steps, I should say, to this meal, but it is so worth it. Pierogies, baby, stay with me. We are at the home stretch of this meal, my friends. So what we're doing now, if you want to come with me, I know I'm dropping everything. This has got butter, and it also has some bacon fat with it as well. And we need all of that, okay? Now we don't probably need all of this butter, but it kind of helps with the smoking point of this, okay? To have enough. So what we're gonna do, take out the rest, and then look at what I did with the pierogies. What I did was I put breadcrumbs on the top and the bottom to absorb, so that way they don't break apart. I'm hoping they don't break apart when we put them in the fryer to crisp, okay? I'm hoping. All right, welcome back. This is the final reveal of my pierogi meal. I put some of the bacon and the onion on top, made some kielbasa, and this is it. Let me go all the way around so you see it. Yum, yum, yum. Excelente. And a little cilantro on top. I know that's not traditional, but neither am I Polish, so there you go. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and join me next time for Everything Spice. Be safe, everyone.